The story of Sean Connery begins far from the dazzling lights of Hollywood. It begins in a narrow street in Fountainbridge, Edinburgh, a working-class district built on sweat, grit, and survival. Life was not gentle there, and childhood was not a protected season. Connery grew up in a tiny flat without luxuries, where every penny was counted, and every day was a reminder of how hard the world could be. His father drove a truck. His mother scrubbed floors. They were proud, hard-working people. But the weight of poverty pressed on everything. In that world, young Thomas Sean Connery learned quickly that strength meant survival. Not just physical strength, although he had that in abundance, but emotional and mental toughness, the kind that comes from seeing your parents work themselves to exhaustion and knowing you may have to do the same. There were no dreams of stardom, no encouragement to aim big. The future seemed predetermined: labor, struggle, and little else. And yet, Connery had something rare afire behind the eyes. A quiet confidence, even as a boy. People noticed him, not because he talked much, but because he didn't need to. He had presence, even then. When he was 9 years old, he got his first job delivering milk. He was working long hours to help his family, polishing coffins, working as a laborer, hauling heavy loads. Hard work shaped his body, but it also shaped his worldview. No one would hand him anything. Whatever he wanted, he would have to fight for. At 16, he joined the Royal Navy, seeking direction and purpose. The Navy gave him discipline, structure, and a larger view of the world. But it also gave him hardship. A medical condition cut his service short and sent him home earlier than he expected. That return was a blow. He was back where he started, with no clear future. The tattoos he got during his service, Scotland Forever and Mum and Dad, were reminders of where he came from and who he lived for. Back in Edinburgh, he drifted from job to job, searching for something that felt like a path. Then, unexpectedly, bodybuilding entered his life. He trained relentlessly, sculpting his physique into something impressive enough to earn him a place in the Mr. Universe competition. He didn't win, but being there opened his eyes to new possibilities. He found work backstage at local theaters, helping build sets, move props, and assist actors. He watched them rehearse, listened to their voices, studied how they made audiences feel something. For the first time, he felt a spark, a craft that fascinated him: storytelling. He had never imagined himself in that world, but something about acting called to him. It wasn't vanity, it was curiosity. And so he tried, quietly, cautiously, yet with the same unwavering determination that had defined every struggle in his life. At first, people laughed. His accent was too thick, his manner too rough, his background too humble. He didn't look like the polished English actors producers preferred. And Connery refused to pretend. He refused to soften his voice or hide his roots. He walked into auditions with his shoulders back, his jaw set, and an intensity that could be felt before he said a single word. Slowly, small roles came. A line here, a moment there, a minor appearance in a TV drama or a supporting character in a modest film. Nothing glamorous, nothing that changed his life. But those early roles taught him how to carry emotion, how to command a room, how to use silence as power. His natural charisma, that coiled, masculine magnetism, began to shine through. Then came the opportunity that would alter the course of cinematic history. Producers needed someone to play a new type of hero, a British spy named James Bond. He was supposed to be charming, elegant, dangerous, seductive. The role demanded physical presence, charisma, and an edge of arrogance. Connery walked into the audition like he owned the room, not with ego, but with raw instinct. He moved like a panther, calm, self-assured, ready for anything. The moment he left the building, the producers reportedly said, "That's him," even though Ian Fleming hated the idea at first, calling Connery too unrefined. Audiences soon proved how wrong he was. When Dr. No premiered, everything changed. Sean Connery didn't simply portray James Bond, he became the embodiment of danger and sophistication. His version of Bond wasn't a gentleman spy, he was steel wrapped in silk, a man who could kill without blinking, charm without trying, and walk calmly away from explosions with nothing but a raised eyebrow. He gave Bond a masculine swagger that would define the character for generations. Overnight, Sean Connery became the most desired, envied, and recognized man on the planet. The world loved the legend, not the man. Fame came with a cost he had never imagined. Paparazzi followed him obsessively. Fans mobbed him. Reporters hounded him with questions he didn't want to answer. He could barely walk down a street without people shouting "Bond" at him, as if his real name no longer existed. The character began to trap him, overshadowing every part of his life. He wanted to grow as an actor. Hollywood wanted him to stay 007 forever. Despite the mounting pressure, Connery delivered film after film, each one better, smoother, sharper. The physical demands were brutal. He performed many of his own stunts, risking injury, exhaustion, and sometimes his own life. Yet, he never complained. He gave Bond everything he had. But inside, he struggled. The fame felt suffocating, the loss of privacy unbearable, the studio politics increasingly infuriating, and the world's refusal to see him as anything other than James Bond became a weight he no longer wanted to carry. So he did something almost no one expected. At the height of his global fame, Sean Connery walked away. He turned down money most actors would dream about. He refused to be typecast. He refused to become a prisoner of his own success. He chose freedom over fame. The next stage of his career was not just impressive, it was astonishing. Connery reinvented himself with roles that allowed him depth, complexity, vulnerability, and gravitas. Films like The Hill, The Molly Maguires, The Offense, and The Man Who Would Be King showed an actor hungry for challenge. He embraced characters who were flawed, tormented, morally conflicted. He explored pain, authority, fatherhood, and the burden of leadership. Slowly, Hollywood realized something important. Sean Connery was not just a movie star, he was an extraordinary actor. His career entered a golden age. Then, in 1987, he delivered one of the greatest performances of his life, Jim Malone in The Untouchables. He played the role with a mixture of wisdom, grit, and heart, a mentor figure whose strength came not from youth, but from experience. The Academy Award he won for that performance, Connery's later years brought some of his most beloved roles. Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade showed his surprising comedic warmth as Harrison Ford's father. The Hunt for Red October captured his intensity. Highlander gave him a mythical aura. The Rock renewed him as an action icon for a new generation. Finding Forrester revealed his depth, portraying a reclusive writer with vulnerability and soul. Throughout it all, Connery remained fiercely private, bluntly honest, and unapologetically himself. He avoided Hollywood parties, hated the circus of fame, and kept his personal life guarded. He struggled at times with public criticism, controversies, and disagreements with studios, yet he never let those challenges dictate his choices. He valued integrity. He valued his voice. He valued being true to himself. As he aged, he embraced his years with dignity. His beard turned white. His movements slowed. His voice became even rougher, richer, deeper, a sound etched with time and experience. He began turning down roles that didn't excite him. He wanted meaning, not money. Finally, after decades of cinematic triumphs, he retired. No press conference, no farewell tour, no dramatic announcement. Just a quiet exit from the stage, on his own terms, the same way he had lived his entire life. In his final years, Sean Connery lived away from the cameras, away from Hollywood, away from the chaos. He sought peace. He spent time with his family, surrounded by the people who loved him most. Though he faced declining health and the challenges that come with age, he maintained the same stubborn spirit he'd always had. And then, in 2020, the world learned that Sean Connery had passed away. The news felt like the end of an era. Actors, directors, and fans around the globe spoke about what he meant to them, not just as the first James Bond, but as an artist, a trailblazer, and a man who overcame impossible odds to become a legend. He had risen from poverty to global superstardom. He had redefined masculinity on screen. He had broken the mold of the Hollywood leading man. He had aged with grace, carrying himself with the same pride he'd had as a young boy in Edinburgh. Sean Connery's legacy is vast. It lives in every actor who plays a spy, every mentor character who carries quiet power, every aging hero who stands tall with wisdom and strength. It lives in the countless filmmakers inspired by his presence. It lives in the millions of fans who still feel a thrill when they hear the words, Bond, James Bond. But most importantly, it lives in the idea that greatness can come from anywhere. From a narrow Edinburgh street, from a working-class childhood, from a young man with nothing but determination and a burning desire to be more. Sean Connery proved that legends are not born. They are forged through hardship, through courage, through the refusal to surrender. He was not just an actor, not just a star, not just the first James Bond. He was a force, a presence, a man defined by strength, shaped by struggle, and remembered for his extraordinary life both on and off the screen. And long after the final credits fade, the legend of Sean Connery will continue to tower over the world of cinema, timeless, iconic, and utterly unforgettable.